The doorbell rang at exactly 6 p.m. on a Saturday in March. I was in the kitchen putting the finishing touches on the dinner when I heard my son Jake's voice in the hallway. Mom, we're here. I wiped my hands on my apron and headed to the front door. My son Jake, 28 years old, standing there with a huge smile on his face, and next to him, a young woman with long dark hair and bright green eyes. Mom, this is Emma. Emma, this is my mom, Catherine. But before I could say hello, before I could extend my hand or smile or do any of the normal things you do when meeting your son's fiancée for the first time, Emma stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. Mom, she said, her voice muffled against my shoulder. It's so good to finally meet you. Mom. She called me Mom before I'd even said a word to her. I stood there frozen, this stranger hugging me, calling me Mom, and Jake looking on with this pleased expression, like this was completely normal. Emma's been so excited to meet you, Jake said. She's been talking about it for weeks. Emma pulled back from the hug, still holding my arms, looking at me with this intense, almost desperate expression. I've heard so much about you. Jake talks about you all the time. I feel like I already know you. That's nice, I managed. It's good to meet you too. But inside, alarm bells were ringing. Something about this felt wrong. You don't call your boyfriend's mother Mom the first time you meet her. You don't hug her like your long-lost family. You don't act like you have a relationship that doesn't exist yet. My name is Catherine Reynolds. I'm 56 years old. I've been a widow for 3 years. My husband died suddenly of a heart attack when he was 55. Since then, it's been just me and Jake. Well, Jake's on his own now, living across town, working as a software engineer. But we're close. We talk on the phone every few days. He comes over for dinner once a week, and 6 months ago, he told me he'd met someone. Emma. They worked at the same company. They'd started dating. Things were going well. Then 2 months ago, he called me with big news. He and Emma were engaged. They were getting married in the fall. He wanted to bring her over to meet me. I was happy for him. Of course I was. Jake deserved to find someone, to be happy, to build a life with someone he loved. But standing there in my hallway with Emma, calling me Mom and hugging me like we were family, happy wasn't what I felt. What I felt was uncomfortable, suspicious, like something was very, very off. Dinner's almost ready, I said, extracting myself from Emma's grip. Why don't you two come in and get comfortable? We moved to the living room. Jake and Emma sat on the couch together, his arm around her shoulders. She was leaning into him, looking at him with this adoring expression. Your house is beautiful, Mom, Emma said. Jake told me you decorated it yourself. Catherine is fine, I said, trying to sound friendly but firm. You can call me Catherine. Oh, but Jake said you wouldn't mind if I called you Mom. Didn't you say that, honey? She looked at Jake. Jake looked uncomfortable. I said my mom was really welcoming and would probably be like a mom to you too eventually. I didn't mean right away. But why wait? Emma said, her smile never faltering. We're going to be family soon. And I've always wanted a mother figure in my life. My own mom died when I was 12, so having you in my life is it's such a blessing. And there it was, the explanation. Her mother had died when she was young. She was looking for a mother figure. That made sense. That was understandable. Except it still felt wrong. Too much, too fast, too intense. I'm sorry about your mother, I said. That must have been very hard for you. It was. But now I have you, she said it with such brightness, such certainty, like it was already decided, like I'd already agreed to be her surrogate mother. Emma, we just met, I said gently. Maybe we should get to know each other a bit before we jump into that kind of relationship. Her smile faltered for just a second. Then it was back, full force. Of course. You're right. I'm just so excited. I tend to move too fast sometimes. Jake's always telling me to slow down. Jake nodded. She's enthusiastic. It's one of the things I love about her. We went to the kitchen for dinner. I'd made pot roast, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Jake's favorite meal. This looks amazing, Mom, Emma said, sitting down at the table. Jake told me you're an incredible cook. Catherine, I corrected again. Right, sorry. Catherine. But 5 minutes later, she was calling me mom again. Mom, could you pass the salt? I passed the salt without correcting her. Jake was watching me with this hopeful expression. Clearly, he wanted this to go well. He wanted me to like Emma, to accept her, to welcome her into our family. And I wanted to do that for Jake's sake. But something about Emma was setting off every instinct I had. So, Emma, I said, tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up? What do you do? I grew up in Portland, moved to Seattle for college, and never left. I'm a project manager at the same company where Jake works. That's how we met. And your family? You mentioned your mother passed away. What about your father? Siblings? Something flickered across her face. My father and I aren't close. We had a falling out after my mom died. I don't really talk to him anymore. No siblings. So Jake's family is really all I have now. Jake reached over and squeezed her hand. And my family is her family now. That's sweet, I said. But Emma, you must have friends. Other family. It seems like a lot of pressure to put on one relationship, making it your entire support system. I have friends, Emma said a little defensively. But family is different. Family is forever. And I've spent 15 years without a mother. I'm not putting pressure on anyone. I'm just happy to have this opportunity. The dinner continued. Emma asked me questions about my life, about Jake's childhood, about my husband. She seemed genuinely interested, but there was also this intensity to her attention, like she was studying me, learning me, trying to figure out how to be what I wanted her to be. After dinner, Jake helped me clean up while Emma looked at family photos in the living room. So, Jake said quietly, what do you think of her? She seems nice, I said carefully, but she's very enthusiastic. She's nervous. She wants you to like her. Jake, she called me mom. Multiple times, we just met. I know it's a little fast, but she lost her mother so young. She's been looking for that kind of connection. I think it's sweet. It's not sweet, Jake. It's concerning. You don't force a relationship like that. You build it over time. She's not forcing anything. She's just open and affectionate. There's a difference between affectionate and inappropriate. Jake's face fell. I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd be happy for me. I am happy for you. I just think we need to take this slowly. Get to know Emma properly before she starts calling me mom and treating me like family. She is going to be family. We're getting married in 6 months. I know, and I'm looking forward to getting to know her, but on a reasonable timeline. Not with her calling me mom the first day we meet. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Dad would have loved her. It felt like a low blow, bringing up his father, implying that I was being difficult when his father would have been welcoming. Your father would have had the same concerns I have, I said. He was always protective of you. He would have wanted to make sure you were making the right choice. I am making the right choice. Emma is the love of my life. I hope that's true. I really do. But love doesn't mean rushing into things. It doesn't mean calling your boyfriend's mother mom before you've even had a conversation with her. We finished the dishes in silence. When we went back to the living room, Emma was holding a photo of Jake's father. He was so handsome, she said to me. Jake looks just like him. You must miss him terribly. Every day, I said, and I miss my mom every day too. The grief never really goes away, does it? It just becomes part of who you are. For the first time that evening, Emma said something that felt genuine. Not performative, not trying too hard, just real. No, I agreed. It doesn't go away. You learn to live with it. That's what I'm trying to do. Learn to live with the loss. Build a new family. Create new connections. She looked at me. I know I came on too strong tonight. I do that sometimes, get too excited and move too fast. But I really do want to get to know you, to have a relationship with you, on whatever timeline feels comfortable for you. I appreciate that, I said, and I meant it. This version of Emma, the vulnerable one showing through, was someone I could maybe connect with. Jake and Emma left around 9 p.m. Jake hugged me goodbye. Emma did too, but more restrained this time. "Thank you for dinner, Catherine," she said. "I hope we can do this again soon." After they left, I sat in my living room trying to process the evening. Emma was intense. There was no doubt about that, but was she genuinely just enthusiastic and looking for family? Or was there something else going on? I called my sister Anne. She lived 2 states away, but we talked every week. "How was the dinner with Jake's fiancée?" she asked, but strange. Strange how? She called me Mom before we'd even been introduced, and kept calling me Mom throughout the dinner, even though I asked her to call me Catherine. That is weird, right? But she says it's because her mother died when she was young, and she's looking for that kind of relationship. That's sad, but also not your problem. You're not her mother, you just met her. That's what I told Jake. He thinks I'm being difficult. You're being reasonable. There's a difference. She also said Jake's family is all she has, that she doesn't talk to her father, no siblings. That seems like a lot of pressure to put on a relationship. It is a lot of pressure. Does Jake see that? I don't think so. I think he sees a woman who loves him and wants to be part of his family. He doesn't see the red flags. Maybe there aren't red flags. Maybe she's just awkward and trying too hard. Maybe. But my gut is telling me something's off. Trust your gut. You're usually right about people. Over the next few weeks, Emma texted me a lot. Pictures of her and Jake, questions about recipes, asking for advice about wedding planning, calling me Mom in every message, despite me asking her to use Catherine. "Mom, what do you think of this dress?" "Mom, Jake and I are looking at venues this weekend. Want to come?" "Mom, I'm making dinner for Jake tonight. Can I get your pot roast recipe?" I answered her messages, but I kept my responses brief and continued to sign them Catherine. The hint wasn't being taken. Jake came over for our usual weekly dinner. Emma didn't come with him, which I was grateful for. "Emma really likes you," Jake said over dinner. "She's very friendly. She texts you a lot. She says you're helping her with wedding planning. She sends me pictures and asks for my opinion. And what do you think? About the wedding? About Emma? Really? You've gotten to know her a bit now through all those texts. What do you think?" I put down my fork. "Honestly, I think she's trying too hard." "What do you mean?" "She's still calling me Mom. She's texting me constantly. She's trying to force a closeness that hasn't developed naturally. And Jake, that concerns me." "Why?" "She's just being nice." There's a difference between nice and desperate. And Emma seems desperate for me to accept her, to love her, to be her mother. That's not healthy. She just wants a family. Is that so wrong? No, but she's going about it the wrong way. You can't manufacture family relationships. They have to grow organically. You're being too critical. Emma is wonderful. She's kind and caring and she loves me. Why can't you just be happy for us? I want to be happy for you. But I'm worried. This level of intensity, this need for instant family, it's not normal. Not everyone had a perfect family like we did, Mom. Some people are desperate for connection because they never had it. I understand that, but that doesn't mean I have to let her call me Mom when we barely know each other. That doesn't mean I can't have boundaries. Jake was quiet for a long moment. "She's going to be my wife, which means she's going to be part of this family whether you like it or not." I never said I didn't like her, but you don't. I can tell. I don't know her well enough yet to like or dislike her. That's my point. We need time to build a real relationship. We don't have unlimited time. The wedding is in 5 months. I need you two to get along. We are getting along. I'm answering her texts. I'm being polite. I'm trying to get to know her, but I'm not going to let her call me Mom when we've met once. Jake left shortly after that. He was upset, I could tell, but I wasn't going to back down on this. Boundaries were important. 2 weeks later, Emma showed up at my house unannounced. It was a Saturday morning. I was still in my pajamas, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Emma standing there with a big smile and a bakery box. "Surprise." I brought breakfast. She pushed past me into the house. I hope you don't mind me dropping by. I was at the farmer's market and saw these amazing pastries and thought of you. Emma, you should have called first. I know, I'm sorry. I was just so excited, and I wanted to talk to you about something. Mother to daughter, she said it with such earnestness, like this was a real relationship we had. Emma, we need to talk about that. About what? About you calling me mom. About these boundaries. You can't just show up at my house unannounced. You can't call me mom when I've asked you not to. Her face crumpled. Tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I get so excited about having you in my life that I forget. My own mom, before she died, she and I were so close. We did everything together. And when she died, I lost that. I've been looking for that connection ever since. And when I met Jake and he told me about you, about how close you two are, I thought maybe finally I could have that again. She was crying now, real tears, and I felt guilty, which was probably the point. Emma, I understand you miss your mother, but I'm not her. I can't replace her, and you can't force me into that role. I know you're right. I don't know how to do this, how to have a relationship with my fiance's mother that isn't weird, how to be part of a family when I've been alone for so long. I sighed. Come sit down. Let's have some of those pastries and talk about this properly. We sat at my kitchen table. Emma calmed down. We ate pastries and drank coffee. Tell me about your mother, I said. What was she like? Emma's face lit up. She was amazing. So warm and funny and loving. She made everything special. Birthdays, holidays, random Tuesdays. She had this way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the world. She sounds wonderful. She was. And then she got sick. Cancer. It happened so fast. 6 months from diagnosis to death. I was 12. One day I had this perfect life with this perfect mom. And then suddenly she was gone and my dad fell apart and everything changed. What happened with your dad? Emma's expression darkened. He couldn't handle it. The grief. He started drinking, became distant. Eventually, he remarried someone I didn't get along with. We had a big fight when I was 18. I moved out and we haven't really spoken since. That must have been so hard. It was. I've basically been on my own since I was 18. No family, just me. Until I met Jake. He was the first person in years who made me feel like I had family again. And when he talked about you, about how close you are, I thought maybe I could have that too. A mom again, someone who cared about me the way my mom used to. I understood better now. Emma wasn't trying to manipulate me. She was just lonely, desperate for family, for connection, for someone to fill the hole her mother's death had left. But that still didn't make it okay. Emma, I understand why you want that. But you have to understand, I'm not your mother. I'm Jake's mother. And yes, when you marry Jake, you'll be part of our family. But that relationship takes time to build. You can't rush it. You can't force it. I know, you're right. I just get so impatient. I've waited so long to have family again. I don't want to wait anymore. But you have to. Real relationships take time. Trust takes time. Love takes time. I do love Jake so much. I believe you. But loving Jake doesn't automatically mean you and I have a mother-daughter relationship. That's something we have to build together, slowly. How do we do that? We start by respecting boundaries. You don't show up unannounced. You don't call me mom until I say it's okay. You give me space when I need it. And in exchange, I promise to make an effort to get to know you, to include you in family things, to be there for you when you need me, but on a timeline that works for both of us. Emma nodded. That sounds fair. I can do that. I'm sorry I've been so pushy. I appreciate the apology. We finished our coffee. Emma helped me clean up. As she was leaving, she turned to me. Thank you for being patient with me. I know I'm a lot sometimes. We all are sometimes, but Emma, if this is going to work, you need to be yourself, not the person you think I want you to be, not a manufactured version of a perfect daughter, just you. I'm not sure who that is sometimes. Then figure it out, because Jake deserves to marry the real you, and I deserve to get to know the real you too. After Emma left, I thought about our conversation. She was damaged, that much was clear. The loss of her mother, the estrangement from her father, years of being alone, it had all taken a toll. But was she right for Jake? That was the question I couldn't answer yet. I called Jake that afternoon. Emma came by this morning. I know, she told me. She said you two had a good talk. We did. I understand her better now, why she's been so intense. So you see why she acts the way she does? I do. But Jake, understanding why someone acts a certain way doesn't mean you have to accept the behavior. Emma has issues, deep issues. Have you two talked about therapy? About dealing with her grief and trauma? We've talked about it. She's been to therapy before. She says it didn't help. Maybe she needs to try again. With a different therapist, because this need to immediately replace her mother with me. It's not healthy. She's not trying to replace her mother. Isn't she? She's calling me mom. Showing up unannounced, trying to force an intimacy that doesn't exist yet. That's not normal behavior. She's just lonely. I know, but her loneliness isn't your responsibility to fix, or mine. She's going to be my wife. Her problems are my problems. To a point, yes, but Jake, you have to be careful. You can't save someone who doesn't want to save themselves. I'm not trying to save her. I love her. I hope that's enough. The next few months were better. Emma backed off a bit. She still texted me, but not constantly. She stopped showing up unannounced. She even started calling me Catherine most of the time, only slipping into mom occasionally. We had lunch together a few times, went wedding dress shopping, normal future mother-in-law and daughter-in-law things. And I started to see glimpses of who Emma really was beneath the desperation. She was funny, quick-witted, smart. She had opinions about things and wasn't afraid to share them. When she wasn't trying so hard, she was actually pleasant to be around. Jake seemed happier too. The tension between him and me eased. He was excited about the wedding, about starting his life with Emma. 2 months before the wedding, Emma invited me to her apartment for dinner. Just the two of us. She wanted to cook for me. I want to show you I've learned something from you, she said. I'm making pot roast, using your recipe. I went to her apartment on a Thursday evening. It was small but cozy, decorated with photos of her and Jake, travel souvenirs, books everywhere. You have a lovely home, I said, and thank you. Jake helped me decorate. I'm not very good at that stuff. The pot roast was good. Not quite as good as mine, but good. We ate and talked about the wedding plans, about Jake, about work. Then, as we were cleaning up, Emma said, "Can I ask you something personal?" Sure. Do you think I'm right for Jake? The question caught me off guard. Why are you asking me that? Because I can tell you have doubts. You've been nice about it, but I can tell. And I guess I want to know what your concerns are. I thought about lying, about saying everything was fine. But Emma deserved honesty. My concern is that you're not marrying Jake because you love him, but because you're lonely and desperate for family. Emma was quiet for a long moment, then she said, "That's fair." And maybe that was true at the beginning. Maybe I did latch onto Jake because I saw him as a way to have family again. But somewhere along the way, it became real. I do love him. Not because of what he can give me, but because of who he is. Are you sure? Yes. I know myself well enough to know the difference. At first, I was in love with the idea of Jake, the idea of his family, the idea of not being alone anymore. But now I'm in love with him, with his laugh and his terrible jokes and the way he always knows when I need space. I'm in love with the real person, not the idea. And what about me? Are you still trying to make me your replacement mother? A little bit, she admitted. I probably always will be to some extent, but I'm trying to respect your boundaries, to let a relationship develop naturally instead of forcing it. I've noticed, and I appreciate it. Can I ask you something else? Sure. If you could give me one piece of advice about being part of your family, about marrying Jake, what would it be? I thought about it. Be yourself. not the version of yourself you think we want. Just be who you really are, because that's the person Jake fell in love with. And that's the person who will actually fit into this family. Emma smiled. That's good advice. Thank you. You're welcome. As I was leaving that night, Emma hugged me. Thank you for giving me a chance, for being patient with me while I figured this out. I know I was a lot at the beginning. You were definitely a lot, I agreed. But I think we're finding our way. Me too. And Catherine, I'm going to keep trying to be better, to respect your boundaries, to build a real relationship with you instead of a forced one. That's all I can ask. The wedding was beautiful. A small ceremony in a garden, just close friends and family. Emma looked radiant. Jake looked happier than I'd ever seen him. During the reception, Emma and I had a moment alone. Thank you for being here, she said, for accepting me, for giving us your blessing. I'm glad I'm here. And Emma, I'm proud of you for doing the work, for backing off when you needed to, for building something real with me instead of forcing something fake. I couldn't have done it without you showing me how. You did it yourself. I just gave you some guidance. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you think someday I could call you mom? Not now, I know, but someday when we've built that relationship? I thought about it 6 months ago. The answer would have been an immediate no. But now, after watching Emma grow and change and become more herself, someday, I said, when it feels right, when it's natural, when we both want it, yes. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. That means more to me than you know. I know, but Emma, don't rush it. Let it happen when it happens. I will. I promise. That was 2 years ago. Emma and Jake are still married, still happy. They bought a house last year. They're talking about having kids. And Emma and I, we have a relationship, a real one, not a forced one. We have lunch once a month. We text regularly. We're in each other's lives in a meaningful way. And last month on my birthday, Emma gave me a card. Inside, she'd written, "Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for teaching me what a real family looks like. Thank you for being someone I can look up to. Love, Emma." Not love your daughter, not mom, just Emma. But that was okay, because the relationship we'd built was real, authentic, based on mutual respect and genuine affection. And maybe someday, when it feels right, she'll call me mom. And this time, I might even like it, because it won't be a stranger calling me mom before we've even spoken. It'll be my daughter-in-law, someone I've grown to care about, someone who's earned that right through time and effort and patience. My son brought his fiancée home, and she called me mom before I even spoke. It felt wrong. It felt forced. It felt like a huge red flag. And it was, in a way. It was a sign that Emma had issues to work through, boundaries to learn, growth to do, but it wasn't a sign that she was a bad person or wrong for Jake. It was just a sign that she needed time and guidance to figure out how to be part of a family after spending so many years alone. And I'm glad I gave her that time. I'm glad I set those boundaries. I'm glad I didn't just let her call me mom to make everyone comfortable. Because now, 2 years later, we have something real, something that was worth the awkwardness and tension and difficult conversations. My son brought his fiancée home, and she called me mom before I even spoke. And 2 years later, I'm glad she did, because it taught both of us something important. Real relationships can't be rushed, they can't be forced. They have to grow naturally, with patience and effort and mutual respect. And sometimes the people who start out trying too hard end up being the people who fit into your life the best, once they learn to just be themselves. That's what Emma learned. That's what I learned, and that's what made all the difference. My son brought his fiancée home, and she called me mom before I even spoke. And now, 2 years later, I'm waiting for the day when she calls me mom again. But this time, when it feels right, when it's earned, when it's real. And I think that day is coming soon.